In a major expose, Canada's Globe and Mail revealed that Canada's NSA, National Security Advisor, and the Deputy Foreign Minister leaked classified information and sensitive intelligence on India to the American newspaper Washington Post days before the Indian NSA met his Canadian counterpart in Singapore amid the diplomatic standoff. Meanwhile, India's High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, who was recalled recently, has said that India was backstabbed and treated in a most unprofessional manner by a country that is supposed to be a friendly democracy. Verma also said that a handful of supporters of the Khalistani have turned the ideology into a criminal enterprise, which indulges in a range of activities such as gun running and human trafficking, and yet the Canadian authorities turn a blind eye because they comprise a vocal electoral bank for local politicians. We also know now that Canadian and American Khalistani terrorists Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who has been charged under the UAPA in New Delhi, has issued a fresh threat against India's High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Verma. Verma currently is in Delhi under security protection of the Delhi police. Pannu has also announced a major cash reward for Verma's location and travel details under the CIA watch. Pannu, in fact, has also threatened travelers who board Air India and other aircrafts between India and Canada. This brings us to the question that we are asking on the News9 Plus show tonight. Is Justin Trudeau's ego and myopic vision hampering India-Canada diplomatic ties? Will Canada act against the Khalistani terrorists and gangsters of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang? And finally, who will protect Indian diaspora and the Sikh community from the Khalistani extremists in Canada? Joining me on the debate this evening, Sameer Kaushal, senior journalist joining us direct from Canada. We also have Ambassador Prabhu Dayal joining us, former Indian diplomat, and Adit Kothari, expert on foreign affairs. Sameer, if I can come directly to you. You know, this has snowballed into a major controversy, the entire selective leaks of sensitive documentation. We saw you also reporting about, the Conservative MP, tearing into the Justin Trudeau government about the leaks that have happened. We've seen major reportage by the Canadian media also of why these selective leaks have happened. The question is not just about the leaks, also the timing of these leaks days before Ajit Doval met his counterpart in Singapore. What kind of messaging is Canada really doing? It has a preconceived notion. Its plan is very much clear against India, but wants to give an impression that it is sharing any evidence while it hasn't.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for taking me into your show. So first of all, let me just be clear with one thing, that it's not that Canada or Canadians are against India or against India's policies. It's a leader, it's one leader or his policies, his desperation to put India into a corner, that is Mr. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada for now. The reason behind that is we all know that Justin Trudeau's popularity is plummeting day by day. Right now, he's 20% behind his opponent, the official opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre. And that's why he's trying to play every trick of the politics to be in limelight, to be in power, though more than 24 of his own MPs, of his own Liberal Party's MPs, are asking him to resign, to step down from the post because of his popularity. And they feel that right now the leader is like an eclipsed politician, which even his shadow can give a very big, you can say, a push to the Liberal Party in the coming elections. But on the other side, I was going through the interview of recalled High Commissioner from Canada, Mr. Sanjay Kumar Verma. He gave his interview to one of the news agencies in India, and he said the same thing, that it's not the Canada which is against working against India. It's one leader or his policies. But let me just tell you the point which you raised, the very important point, that why the secret classified information has been leaked. What was the reason for that? It's not just only you or me who are saying this. It's one of the leading news organization, Global News, their very senior correspondent, Mercedes Stephenson, she even wrote on her social media where she, replying to one of the American journalists, and categorically, I'm quote unquote reading her tweet where she is saying that I wouldn't call senior national officials who were dispatched and sanctions to brief a foreign media outlet outing sources. It is outing a double standard. They didn't speak without political authorization or directions, as their jobs aren't at risk. It's political hypocrisy. Even the Canadian media, the media which till now was supporting directly or indirectly, the Liberal government, they are now, pointing that why this leak has been, why there was a leak, and why the information has been given to a selective media. And it's not just only this. The strange thing which Mercedes Stephenson mentioned over here, which is very, concerning. She said, very frustrating to be told national security that we can't commend, but we can brief media in Washington.
Right.
While that annoyed me, it's not but of the issue for me. It is about the pressure and persecution. You just focus on these words, which Mercedes Stephenson, the Canadian senior Canadian journalist, writing on a wall, she said, it's about the pressure and the persecution with threat of prosecution.
Right.
I have seen with absurd when it's not a PMO brainchild, and then this like pick a lane. So journalists are talking about this. Journalists are frustrated with this. That why there has been this kind of leak, and as you said categorically, that Michael Chong, the member of parliamentarian, Mr. Chong and his family has been target by the CCP, the China's government,
Right.
for the foreign interference. And he categorically mentioned this in the House of Commons when Mr. Justin Trudeau pinpoint his leader, the official opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, that why he's not getting the security clearance to read the confidential information.
Fair enough, Samir. I'll come back to you. Very important points there about the entire controversy with the selective classified leaks happening in Canada by the Justin Trudeau government. Ambassador Prabhudayal, how do you infer, how do you see this kind of a development? Do you think that Justin Trudeau, because of his ego, because of his myopic vision, because of his lack of understanding of diplomacy with India and importance of India, has compromised completely, has made up its mind that until the elections at least, if not more, he does not care about the diplomatic ties with India. He does not care about the Indo-Pacific. He does not care about trade ties with Indians or the large Indian diaspora in Canada. He will go on a war path with India. He will go to appease the Khalistani extremists. And he also does not care about the gangland violence that is taking place in their own backyard.
Well, thanks for having me on your show. As the previous speaker very rightly pointed out, Justin Trudeau is indulging in vote bank politics and is therefore allowing a wide range of anti-India activities to be carried out by the Khalistan supporters. You referred to the Indian High Commissioner, Mr. Sanjay Verma, who has been recalled and is back in India. Well, Mr. Verma has categorically said that Khalistan extremists are Canada's deep assets, and that Justin Trudeau has destroyed Canada's ties with India. Now, opinion polls currently show that Trudeau's popularity is going down, and that of his rival, the leader of the Conservative Party, is going up. That is why a number of Liberal Party MPs have written a letter to Trudeau asking him to resign. They know the sort of damage he is doing to Canada and to, of course, Canada's relations with India. Now, let me state categorically that Canada has become a hotbed for anti-India activities by extremist Sikhs. And many extremist Sikhs, including gangsters and terrorists from Punjab, have fled to Canada, and they have been granted citizenship by the Canadian government. And these extremist Sikhs are openly calling for the breakup of India and the creation of Khalistan. Let me mention that such extremist Sikhs have also attacked the Indian High Commission in Ottawa, and they had put up posters calling for the assassination of Indian diplomats, including the High Commissioner. So they are becoming a problem, but Justin Trudeau considers them as his asset because they work for him. They they help him to get the support of some people, like, for instance, Jagmeet Singh Dhaliwal, who heads the New Democratic Party and had extended outside support to Justin Trudeau because Justin Trudeau was towing his line in regard to the issues which the extremist Sikhs want done for them. That is, they want, of course, to target India. They want to increase their own support base. And this is possible when Sikhs from India are allowed to come in Canada, and there they are indoctrinated by these extremist Khalistan supporters, and they end up getting visas and they become assets of the extremist Sikhs. So there is a big game going on, and Justin Trudeau had become party to it. The Canadians realized it, and I'm afraid that the relations with India are not going to improve as long as Justin Trudeau remains in power.
All right, it is a great game, as you say, from Canada. But Adit Kothari, if I can really bring you in at this stage, one thing that was raised by Justin Trudeau at the Foreign Interference Commission was about Lawrence Bishnoi. Even before that, there have been claims that, Lawrence Bishnoi has been allegedly working for the Indian government, etc. But today, we've seen Indian government announce a 10 lakh reward for the information on Anmol Bishnoi, brother of Lawrence Bishnoi. Today, we've seen countrywide raids taking place in India, in which 10 sharpshooters of Lawrence Bishnoi have been arrested. What does this say about India and Canada? Is Lawrence Bishnoi working for the Canadian government led by Justin Trudeau or for the Indian government?
Aditya, I don't know where to start from. For the past 3.5, 4 odd years, India has been harping on the fact that the Lawrence Bishnoi gang is a problem, and they have syndicates working within the domain of Canadian politics, and they must be held responsible. So much so, even the RCMP a week or so ago came out stating that yes, the Lawrence Bishnoi gang are possible and potential targets who could have been involved in this particular string of operations. This is something which the Indian government has been harping on for years. And so much so, even Goldie Bra's name, which was not in the RCMP wanted list, but in the sort of civic organization wanted list, which is called BOLO in Canada, in the 10 most wanted list, that was dropped out of absolutely nowhere. Suddenly, his name disappeared. So what does this indicate? It basically indicates that the Canadian polity, the Canadian administration and establishment is very happy to work with criminals. They're very happy to work with thugs. They patronize criminals, which is why the Brother Keepers gang, the Dhaliwals, the Grewals, all operate with absolute impunity without any checks and balances. They perfectly run their drug racketeering, their human trafficking businesses within the Canadian-US borders without any questions being asked. So the Canadian establishment is completely in gloves with these criminal gangs. I am not going to refer to them as Khalistanis because they are criminals at the end of the day. And also the US is 100% complicit there. The one point where I disagree with both Ambassador Dayal and Samir is the fact that we are only pointing our gun towards Justin Trudeau as the problem. I don't think Justin Trudeau is the only problem. I think polity in Canada, the polity in West is generally a problem, who in the garb of human rights, who in the garb of First Amendment, essentially pander to these feral individuals. So much so, apart from a Michael Chong or a Chandra Arya, there haven't been any other politicians in the Canadian Parliament who've come out to say, where is the evidence? Why are you single-handedly, sidelining India? So those kind of pertinent questions are not being asked, and which is absolutely dismaying. Even day before yesterday, Tim Uppal who's the deputy of the Conservative Party, came out in Parliament questioning the foreign interference of India. So, this sort of politics need to be called out. The politics of India cannot be allowed to be played in the West, and it's the Indian diaspora and the civic the civic bodies in general who need to build some sort of a consortium, some sort of a collective unity to come out and call this federal business out.
No, Adit, I completely
Aditya.
agree with you. In the larger arena, of course, the Western hypocrisy is certainly a problem. But in the Canadian context, I believe that the Khalistani problem is their own internal thing that they need to sort out. In fact, Chandra Arya, the member of parliament that you mentioned just about day before yesterday, in fact, mentioned in his speech that the Khalistani extremism is a Canadian problem and we have to deal with it. The RCMP he mentioned is acting, but I haven't seen any kind of action really taking place. But Sameer Kaushal, very quickly, how do you analyze the road ahead? Of course, the diplomatic ties between India and Canada are at its worst. I personally, tracking foreign affairs, can tell you that this is even worse than Pakistan at this particular stage. But what is the immediate road ahead? Do you really feel that there will be a status quo until the elections really take place, if there are early elections, or do you think that there will be more significant steps taken by the Trudeau government and perhaps a counter reaction by India?
There are a few things. One thing which I just want to add from the previous speaker's information, that Goldie Berard, Stinder Pal Singh Goldie Berard, was on RCMP's top 25 most wanted list. I think 2 years or 1 or 2 years back. He was on the most wanted list. Right now, he's not on that list. I'm not very much sure about his whereabouts, where he is, why they took him out from that list. It was in the BOLO program as well, but BOLO is Be on Lookout program. But right now, I'm not very much sure why they pull him out from that list. As far as the second thing is concerned, there is a foreign interference inquiry going on in Canada, and China was the central point of that interference. And what sane minds are thinking that India's name has been pushed into that, or just to mild the focus on or to distract the focus from the government of China. But at the same time, foreign interference is happening in Canada, and it's not just only one country. There are so many other countries' name has been come into that, in those reports. Even Pakistan's name is coming in that report as well. That for different reasons, even Pakistan is playing their part. As far as the question you asked, whether there's going to be any path, yes, even behind the curtains, or even it's not just only Mr. Justin Trudeau who is right now playing all the tricks of the politics. There are certain other leaders, as one of the speaker from this quorum, they said, Jagmeet Singh. He is also in the same team of Justin Trudeau. But on the other hand, Stephen Harper, the former Prime Minister, he and there are certain premiers like Alberta's premier, Saskatchewan's premier. They are into very good relations with India, and they and their teams are usually oftenly visiting Canada. Oftenly visiting India, especially Punjab and certain other places to do business. So there are things happening. There are people to people strong ties. But as far as because it's politics, and we know that Justin Trudeau is trying every trick to just hold his seat. So Canadians are watching all these things, and they will definitely make up their mind that where they want to vote in the next elections.
Absolutely. Everybody is looking towards the elections in Canada and what will happen to the Indian and Canada diplomatic ties. At this moment, certainly, nobody is really going to go for peace, unfortunately, until there is decisive action against the Khalistani extremists. Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, Adit Kothari, and my friend Sameer Kaushal, thank you very much for joining us this debate. We'll continue to have you continuously. The Canadian Khalistani problem, terror in its backyard, is certainly going to be a top focus for us here. Thanks for watching.